Hello and welcome to CFN Media. I'm John Veneri, editor of Catholic Family News, and this is a kind of a podcast YouTube of my first report from Rome covering the Synod. And what we're going to talk about is this business of the letter of the 13 Cardinals. Now, earlier this week, Vatican journalist Sandra Magister, he reported that 13 cardinals wrote a letter to Pope Francis raising concerns about procedure of the Synod and raising concerns about the Synod working document, also known as the Instrumentum Laboris. In the original letter that was circulated, the 13 cardinals warned that the Synod working document, I'm quoting now, cannot adequately serve as a guiding text or the foundation of the final document. Close quote. Now, some of the names that appeared on the letter to the Pope were Cardinal Carlo Caffarra, Cardinal Robert Serra, Cardinal Timothy Dolan, Cardinal Wilfrid Napier, and Cardinal George Pell. Shortly after the letter was released, again, this was not officially released, it was Sandro Magisto claimed to get a hold of this and he published it. 4 cardinals, who I did not name, they denied that they had signed the letter. Cardinal Pell from Australia admitted that a letter was sent to the Pope, but he stated that neither the text nor the list of signatories published by Magister were as accurate. Cardinal Pell also lamented that the letter was supposed to be private and never intended for the public. Wilfrid Fox Cardinal Napier, he said that the text that Magister had published was not the text of the letter that he had signed, but he told Crux News, however, that he shared the concern expressed in the letter about, I'm quoting now, the choice of the people that are writing up the final document. Pope Francis's administration has attempted to play down these concerns, but so far the Vatican response has yet to allay the fears of informed Catholics. During the first week of the Synod, one of the English language working groups of the Synod also expressed reservations about the Instrumentum Laboris. The English language group under Cardinal Collins said in their official report, I'm quoting now, while various elements of the document are admirable, we found much of the text to be flawed or inadequate. Now, people who have been following this, you know that this working document, the Instrumentum Laboris, even prior to the opening of the Synod, really from the first day it was released, had been the subject of severe criticism, and not without reason. The Instrumentum Laboris, one example, leaves open the possibility that it may be permissible for divorced and remarried Catholics, after going through some sort of new pastoral policy and an undefined penitential period, this will be followed by a readmission to the sacraments while they remain in their adulterous union. As far back as August 2015, Bishop Athanasius Schneider of Kazakhstan, he warned, I'm quoting him now, quote, in the light of a careful analysis of the facts, one is left with the suspicion that the authors of the Instrumentum Laboris try to push forward the agenda of a certain clerical pressure group in order to change the divine law of the non-admission of the divorced and remarried to Holy Communion. It's a pretty strong charge from a respectable prelate. He's saying they're trying to change divine law. Voice of the Family, a pro-life group faithful to the perennial magisterium of the Church, they released an in-depth critique of the Instrumentum Laboris. They warn that the working document undermines the entire moral edifice of the Church, and it does this by, now I'm quoting their bullet points here, it does this by undermining the doctrine of Humanae Vitae, by proposing a false understanding of the relationship between conscience and the moral law, does this in paragraph 137. It does this by discussing artificial methods of reproduction without giving any judgment on the morality of such methods, or making any reference to previous Catholic teaching, or to the enormous loss of human life that results from their use, paragraph 34. It does this by proposing the admission of the divorced and remarried to Holy Communion without amendment of life, that's paragraphs 120 to 125. Reducing the indissolubility of marriage to the level of an ideal, paragraph 42. Suggesting that cohabitation and living together have positive aspects and can, to some extent, be considered legitimate forms of union. It does this in paragraphs 57, 61, 63, 99, and 102. Preparing the ground, it does this by preparing the ground for the acceptance of same-sex unions by acknowledging the need to define the specific character of such unions in society, that's found in paragraph 8, and denying the full rights of parents regarding the provision of sex education to their children, paragraph 86. In all of these points, and in many other ways, the working document, poses a real danger to the family and to the integrity of Catholic doctrine and practice. None of these legitimate concerns about the Synod's working document have been addressed by Pope Francis, have been adequately addressed by Pope Francis's Vatican. What we get instead is the type of shallow response that we got from Pope Francis on October 6th, where he tells Synod fathers that they should not give in to a so-called hermeneutic of conspiracy. You really get the sense that you're just being brushed off. You're not even given an explanation. Don't fall for this hermeneutic of conspiracy. And this type of shallow response fails to stem the fears of informed Catholics. The real point is that the flaws in the Synod's working document remain, which guarantees that the most tumultuous days of the Synod are still in front of us. For Catholic Family News, I'm John Veneri, CFN Media.